Right, on my next video, I'm not quite sure how long this is going to be, but something has spurred me on, and it's actually something that I thought about a long time ago, and I've seen it many, many times. It's basically all to do with celebrities, but it's always to do with um, masks and things. Basically, um, oh God, sorry about that. Pardon me, and so on. Anyway, let's get back on to what I was basically talking about, or going to be talking about, and it's to do with things like masks and celebrities and things. If you don't know what I mean, it's basically when you can go to a shop, certain shops that sell. I would say it's a bit like when you buy a costume, when you want to go and buy a costume, basically to look like somebody basically who's famous. In this point, you can buy masks. You can buy celebrity masks. You know, you might be watching, say, darts or something, and in the crowd you might get somebody wearing a mask, and on that mask is a famous person. Yes, a famous person. But I find it very baffling when they do these masks, because why do they do celebrities that are old? Not as in the age of old, but as in old like, for instance, they're no longer really in the public eye. They're not as famous as they used to be, or it could be a dead celebrity, but it is basically somebody who might be old, somebody who might have been around years ago, no longer as famous as they used to be, and yet they make masks of them. I don't understand that logic. I really don't. And I suppose you could use this in the same way that if you were going to things like a waxwork place, or for instance, if you were buying, say, a calendar, because the same thing could apply. Basically, what you might get celebrities who have their own fan clubs, and they might well do calendars for the fans that want them every year. I get that. But it's almost like in the same way that you could go to a waxwork. If you went to, if somebody turned around and said, right, we're going to open a waxwork, let's say there's going to be a new waxworks opening in England. It might be that Birmingham decides that they want to open their own waxworks. It'd be a bit stupid if you went to, say, a new waxwork place in Birmingham where all the waxwork will say mostly celebrities that were big in, say, the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. Maybe they were big in the 90s, but not now. How weird would it be if they were passing it off as, say, a more, they might pass it off as saying it's sort of an updated, Waxworks experience, because they've got one in London and they want to do one in Birmingham. But it'd be a bit weird if they had, say, 3 or 4 or 5 celebrities that are sort of famous today. So you get like a Simon Cowell Waxwork. You might get something like a Waxwork on footballer Lionel Messi. You might get a waxwork on something like Prince William or Prince Harry. I get the different people like that could be in waxwork form. I get that. But it would be very weird if you were going around it and finding a lot of waxworks for people that are no longer really with us, or at least waxworks of people who you don't expect to see, the really old people, the people that were sort of big in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So, it matter what it's like, you're going around the basic thing, you find, there's a waxwork to Jimmy Tarbuck, a comedian. Or, if you're around there and you see a waxwork of someone like Marion Faithfull, who's basically a 60s singer, you might be around there and think, why would you get a waxwork, say, in there of something like, let's say, Sophie Ellis-Bextor's mother. Can't remember what. Janet, I think it's Janet Ellis, who used to be a presenter on Blue Peter. Why would you get waxworks like that in, say, a waxwork thing that you don't expect? It would be a bit weird. And I find that very odd that with masks, it's one of the things I've spotted a lot of times when I basically watch darts and particularly certain programs, and people have these masks that have been made that you can buy. And you can get weird ones like Jeremy Beadle. I never understand why. I mean, they're just random. It's like the company will do a load of random masks. They just come along with this idea that they might say, right, we're going to do 500 masks. Think of 500 celebrities from the past to the present that we can do in a mask form. And we're going to do them. And for some reason, I'm a bit baffled why they do this. Because, why would they? I don't get it. Usually, when it comes to things like Waxworks and mask companies and things that are making celebrity masks and that, they go with the times. That's what they normally do. Madame Tussauds who do Waxworks, like in Blackpool and that, they normally go with the times. They sort of update them every so often so that all the latest celebrities are there. The only celebrities that go from the past is when they're connected to a certain theme. Like it might be a footballer like David Beckham or something who no longer plays but he's still in the public eye and people still want to see waxworks of him. It's people where they might have a Coronation Street thing where they want to do like a history of Coronation Street and they do like, say, 12 iconic characters that might have been in basically Coronation Street, and one of them could still be Ken Barlow, but they would have like 12 iconic characters in that. You know, it will always be things like the Queen and things like that, but they always update them. So, and it's like that with the music ones. You know, you wouldn't go around you wouldn't expect to go around say a Waxworks now, unless the artist who's old comes back and has become successful again. I can understand that they may do that, but you don't really go around these waxwork places and expect to find a load of old musicians that no one cares about anymore. They might care about them that they like the music and they want to get played on the radio and all that, but they're not caring in the way that they would go around and see a waxworks. Because it'd be a bit baffling if you went round say a waxwork place and even if you bought masks where basically they might work, you know, the mask company might work with the waxwork company and say, right, I want you to do 20 waxworks of musicians. We'll do 20 masks of musicians, but we'll do them the same. And the idea is you go around this waxwork place and you go to the music bit and they'll say, right, we've got, say, rock and roll icons or we've got soul legends and things like that. And you'll get like a waxwork of, say, someone like, let's say, Lou Rawls, a soul singer. Would never happen. You wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect to go around there and say, oh, I wonder why they've got a waxwork of Little Richard. I wonder why they put a waxwork in there of someone like Bonnie Tyler. Why have you got waxwork of people like, let's say, the Bay City Rollers? That would never happen. You wouldn't expect that. You can get some older people in music that might get waxworks done. You know, you might still see a Paul McCartney waxwork maybe because they just think he's a legend, they've got to do something like that. But you expect a lot of musicians today. You always expect that. You always expect to think there's going to be a Kylie Minogue waxwork. There's going to be like an Ed Sheeran one. And you'll get things like One Direction and waxworks and people like that, Beyonce. So you know exactly what you're getting. You know you're going to see people like maybe Chris Martin out of Coldplay that might be doing a waxwork from. And you might expect that if you buy masks. But you don't expect to get masks where it's got like Jeremy Beadle on there and all these great celebrities that you think, why? They're just random. It is so random. Even t-shirts, you can say that with t-shirts basically because you go to a t-shirt printing company and they will sometimes have a lot of logos and they'll have a lot of things and you can say to them, do you do music t-shirts? And they say yes. And usually you have a few older people in music, you know, they'll often say we have got some that some people might like because they're older, like you might get the odd Cliff Richard t-shirt up there or the Beatles or you might get Queen. You might get Nirvana, you might get Jimi Hendrix, you might get the Rolling Stones, and things like that. And they always go in with t-shirts like One Direction and Justin Bieber. And then you expect to get t-shirts like Ollie Murs, and sometimes you might get t-shirts like Ellie Goulding, and you might get t-shirts like, I don't know, U2. It might be t-shirts like Bring Me the Horizon, and various basically musicians and that. And there might be something like 40 or say 40 music ones with a balanced mix. Bob Marley might be in there as well. And it's a balanced mix of, there's some older ones, there's some obviously newer ones that people can sort of have. And they do that because that's what they do. And then usually you get like one Northern Soul t-shirt that's probably got the simple badge thing which says Northern Soul, keep the faith and the fist. But yeah, I'm just baffled. I wonder why they do it for. I wonder why these companies who make these masks and things actually make masks that have celebrities that really are no longer in the public eye. They're either dead, sadly, or they're just not in the public eye. You don't expect a mask like that, you know. Do people really want to go into a shop and say, yeah, I'm looking for a mask? I wonder if you've got a... Because one of the things I'll leave off on this is, imagine what it'd be like if somebody went into a shop and asked for a mask of a celebrity from way back when, and they'll think they won't have it because he either has been, he was a celebrity years ago and not quite in the public eye anymore. You're bound to say it's never going to happen because you expect all the masks to be of celebrities today. Celebrities of the past who are still in the public eye today and quite famous and big would have their masks done, right? I get that. But there'll be a lot of people who say you're never going to get a mask like that because they'll say, when was the last time he or she was on TV? They're not as famous as they were probably back then. So, as an example, you might go into a shop and think, right, I'm going to ask the shopkeeper, you sell a lot of masks, the all celebrity ones. And as an example, it might be, I was wondering if you have a mask on, let's say you're looking for a mask on, trying to think of a good example. Let's say it's to do with films. Let's imagine it's to do with TV. Right, let's think of a TV actor. I'm going to say Paul Nicholson, who also made music. He's been in EastEnders recently, not currently in it. Right? I'll say, could you tell me if you've got a celebrity mask of Paul Nicholson, please? Paul Nicholas, I mean. And they'll say, funny enough, we do. And it'd be so random, but weird, that they would have something like that they've done it. They might not have done it because Paul Nicholas has been in EastEnders now. They just do it because it's one celebrity that they want on their roster of, say, 500. It'd be weird. It'd be the same with other people. You know, you might go in there saying, have you got a celebrity mask on, say, someone like Ian Botham, the cricketer? And it'd be like, yeah, we certainly have. Well, that's a bit weird. I never expected that. It's a bit of a strange one, but I don't know what you lot think about it, but I just thought, yeah, it's a bit strange that they do that. But anyway, I'll leave it there because this is going quite long and I need to stop before it gets any longer. So until then, bye for now.